corrections. Okay, so we have all seen the different types of corrections in the case of chain and tape. And next, let's move on something to understand about how do we carry out your mapping? How do we do the mapping of the data, whatever we have in our field, in the form of what is called as your graphical representation. Okay, so let's just try to understand for today's class. Mostly we'll be trying to focus in today's class regarding how do we map the data, whatever we get from field. So once we go to the field, how do we collect the data and where do we note that particular data collected, and then how do we get back to the office to transfer that particular data into the form of a graphical representation, which we are calling it as your map. Okay, so what we start is with an understanding how do we carry out our mapping with the help of simple chain and with the help of chain, or maybe with the help of tape, or with the combination of both chain as well as tape. So with the help of both chain and tape, how do we carry out our complete mapping of that particular area what we are trying to survey? Because we have got different advanced instruments available by which we can simply carry out our mapping work. It's not going to be so difficult for us, but however, we should basically have an idea like how do we carry out even this particular mapping work with the help of simple chain and tape, because always we may not have advanced equipments available with us while we are carrying out the survey. So with the simple basic instruments which are available, so it's your typical chain and tape. So how do we carry out our complete mapping of a particular area what we are trying to look at? So mapping in the sense, it's all about preparation of a map representing all that particular salient features of that particular topography or that particular region, and transferring all that particular information into what is called as your drawing sheet or onto your graphical representation in your maybe system, whatever it is. Okay, so we are trying to transfer all the field observations onto what is called as a graphical representation. Now our objective is to understand how do we do that. Say let's say I have some area in the field where this area is approximately something 50 meters in the width direction. The area what I am just trying to look at, the field in which I am trying to carry out the survey, let's say the length of this is something 150 meters. Okay, so for this particular area, in that particular area, whatever the salient things that I have got, okay, so all that salient things I have to identify, then I have to measure whatever is required in order to locate those points. First identification, which we call it as reconnaissance. Okay, reconnaissance. So in the case of any survey, as we have already discussed earlier, our first basic objective is to carry out what is called as reconnaissance. What does this reconnaissance means? Reconnaissance is nothing but it's a kind of a preliminary survey that we are trying to carry out, going to the field, identifying and understanding what are the different objects that are existing in the field, which I want to transfer into my map. Okay, so that is what we call it as a reconnaissance. Okay, so getting recognized to that particular site, understanding what are all those different things that I have to map, what information that I have to collect, what should be the method by which I should collect that information. So that is all what is covered under what is called as reconnaissance. Okay, let's say the field in which I am trying to carry out my survey contains some various things. Let's say, for example, I have one house here, and let's say I have some road here, something going like this. This is the road what we are trying to look at. Okay, and maybe something like I have some electrical poles in this direction. Okay, so electrical poles going in this direction. Okay, next I have got some tree somewhere here. I have got another tree somewhere here. Let's say I have got another house here, maybe another tree here, maybe another tree somewhere here. So I've got different things existing in that particular site. So all that particular information, it could be your electrical towers or electrical poles. or maybe your houses, or maybe your trees, or maybe your road, whatever information that I have got, all that I just want to transfer it onto your map. Earlier we said, yes, we have to choose some proper scale, and accordingly with that scale, whatever we are choosing, we are trying to transfer the information. But how is that exactly we are trying to find out the measurements in the field? By carrying out what is called as working from whole to part. And then how do we locate each of those particular objects existing in the field, what we want to identify in order to transfer the information onto your map? And then how do we continue to complete our survey? Okay, so for carrying out our survey, as I told you earlier, the first step what we start is with your reconnaissance survey. So we are trying to recognize all the different salient features existing in that particular site. So once your reconnaissance is done, understanding, okay, these are all things that I have got in my field, and the approach what I want to follow for completing my survey work. So I'll just understand, okay, in this case, I'm saying I'll make use of a chain or typically a tape for completing my survey in order to locate the various other objects that are existing in that particular survey field. Okay, so next thing is, what is the principle that I am going to adopt in carrying out my survey? So we say the basic principle of surveying is nothing but we say working from whole to part. Okay, so this is the basic principle of your surveying. So working from whole to part. So next, once we start working from whole to part, then okay, let me just understand what is that working from whole to part means. Before I start my work, first I have to understand how do I need to carry out my work. So for that, let me choose 2 points, which I am calling it as control stations or your survey stations, because as we have already discussed earlier also when we were trying to talk about what is meant by working from whole to part. So in the process of working from whole to part, we have to identify what are our control stations, our survey stations, and then we have to build up your control network. According to that, you are going to identify the various salient features existing in that particular field. Okay, so let's say this is point A, and somewhere here you have you are choosing another control station point, let's say point B. So I have got 2 points which I am calling it as my control station points, and let's say I'm just trying to represent some imaginary line. That line is not existing, but I'm just trying to assume, okay, if at all there exists some line, like line from A to B points. So as I said, I am choosing 2 control station points. So at station point A, I'm fixing one ranging rod. At control station point B, I'm fixing another ranging rod. And in between that point A to B, I'm just trying to fix up your shortest path. What is the shortest distance between that point A to B, which I am representing it as your line AB. And first, my objective is to understand where are those 2 points, point A and B, at what distance they are apart. Okay, so first, from our chain surveying, whatever we have learned earlier, start placing your chain at point A and keep on extending your chain towards your point B, so that now you can happily measure what is the distance between point A to point B. So in the process of measuring the distance between point A to point B, by simply placing the chain, once you are not able to get the measurement of the total length between point A to point B, so you are placing your chain to reach from point A to point B. You are placing your chain multiple number of times in order to measure the distance between point A to point B. So if I am required to place my chain in multiple number of stretches to reach from point A to point B for measuring the distance, then I have to carry out my what is called as a proper ranging, so that now my distance, what I am trying to measure from point A to point B, is going to be the distance in the straight path. Okay, so you have to carry out a proper ranging in order to fix what is your straight direction in between the point A to point B. Earlier we have already talked about what is this proper ranging and so on. Okay, so next, once I understand that A to B marking, what I have done is the straight line path in which I have measured my distance. Let's say that distance what I have measured between point A to point B, I have got it to be something 130 meters. So I'm just fixing 2 control station points, point A and point B, and I'm trying to measure the distance between point A to point B. which I am getting it as, let's say, something 130 meters. Now, once I understand what are my control station points and what is my control line. Control line is nothing but your survey line, which you are going to be using. That's your AB line. Okay. So AB line you are going to use as your reference line for locating the positions of various objects existing in that particular site. Okay. So that is what we call it as your working from whole to part. So what does this working from whole to part means? You are fixing your control station points, and in between that control station points, you are representing what is called as the control line, AB line, which we are calling it as your survey line or control line. So with respect to that position of control stations and control line, we try to locate the position of various objects which you are trying to look at. It could be your electrical pole, or it could be a tree, or it could be your house, or it could be a road. So whatever it is, you can try to mark the positions of it, and accordingly you can try to locate the positions of those various things. Okay. So now in the process, how do we start our work? So first, if I want to identify the various salient features of or various objects that are existing in the field, first, the next important step in our surveying that we need to be following is to have a redundancy check. I have to check for what is called as redundancy. What does this word redundancy mean? Measuring the same measurements again and again in order to get more accurate data of whatever you are measuring. Okay, so redundancy is nothing but carrying out the measurement of the same thing. Okay, I am trying to measure the distance between point A to point B. Okay, so determining the distance between point A to point B by same chain, but carrying by multiple number of times you are carrying out the measurements. Let's say 2 to 3 times I am going from point A to point B to measure my distance, and maybe from point B to point A again for 2 to 3 times I am just trying to carry out my measurement, so that I get some couple of times the distance between, okay, for some 4 to 5 times I have the distance what I have measured between those 2 points A and B, and this redundancy says that the average distance between point A to point B is what you are required to calculate, because just by measuring the distance between point A to point B once, you cannot ensure the accuracy of your work. Okay, so that's the reason, in order to get relatively accurate data of your measurement between the point A to point B, linear measurement between point A to point B, so you have to carry out your measurement from same point A to point B or point B to point A couple of times, so that you ultimately define the distance between point A to point B as the average of all the distances that you have measured between point A to point B, or the length of that member AB by how many number of times you have taken that particular reading. So it's ultimately what I am trying to do is I am trying to calculate the average distance whatever you have measured in that 4 to 5 number of trials. Okay, so that average value is going to be reported as your length of that control station point, length between that control stations points A to B. Okay, so which I am representing it as your 130 meters. So the purpose of carrying out or checking for this redundancy is to understand the accuracy of your work. Next, once you understand that the distance between your control station points A to B is something 130 meters roughly, I'm just mentioning some number. Okay, so once you measure that distance, then your next objective is to take the offsets. Okay, so next is that we are going to be taking the offsets of various objects that you have in the field with respect to your survey line. Okay, so if I start saying that I am going to be taking out the offsets with regard to the objects which I have got in my survey field, so what does this offsets mean? So let me just start doing it. So what I'll just try to do is I'll start placing my chain from point A, and I'll stretch my chain towards the direction of your point B. I'll just align my chain in that direction. And now what I am going to do is, look at here, this is one electrical pole, another electrical pole, third electrical pole, fourth electrical pole. This is how, and I have my boundary beyond which the other electrical poles are going. I'm not interested in looking at. So I just want to figure out the positions of all these electrical poles that I have. And I could clearly understand that all those electrical poles are existing in some straight line. Okay. So in such case, either I can keep on taking the offsets from each of the position of these electrical poles, or maybe from the first and the last electrical pole, I'll take the offsets and I'll join those 2 points to get your straight line. And on that straight line, I'll just try to mark those other 2 electrical poles also what are existing. That's up to us. Okay. So what I'm just trying to do is, I'm just trying to drop a perpendicular from this. Let's say this is the first electrical pole, second electrical pole, third electrical pole, fourth electrical pole. So from the first electrical pole onto your survey line, I'm just trying to drop a perpendicular. Okay. So I'm trying to drop simply a perpendicular onto your line AB. Okay. So I have dropped a perpendicular from first electrical pole point onto your line AB. Sir, how do we drop the perpendicular onto your line AB? So how to drop that perpendicular, we'll try to talk about after some couple of time. Okay. So in today's class, we'll just try to understand that. How do we drop the perpendicular, or how do we set out the perpendicular? Okay. So that we'll try to talk about. For time being, understand that, okay, I'm able to drop my perpendicular from your first electrical pole. And similarly, even required from second electrical pole also, you can drop your perpendicular onto the line AB. And from third electrical pole also, if at all you want, you can drop even from your third electrical pole. And likewise, from fourth electrical pole also, you can drop your perpendicular or drop your offsets onto your line AB. Okay. So once I say I am dropping my perpendicular from your electrical pole 1, 2, 3, 4 onto my survey stations, on my survey line or onto my control line, that's AB line, then I'll just try to measure. Look at here. What is the distance between this point 1, the position of your first electrical pole, onto your survey line AB? Okay. So what is this distance? Okay. So what is this distance? I'll try to measure with the help of your tape by placing the tape from this point to this point. I'll try to measure that distance, and let's say the distance is something x1, and likewise the other distances also. If I try to measure from second electrical pole onto that point where I have dropped my perpendicular onto line AB, so let's say that distance is something x2, and the other electrical pole, let's say it is something x3, the fourth electrical pole, let's say x4. Okay. So now let us try to understand. I have located the position of your first electrical pole by traveling in the direction from point A to point B. So how much distance I have traveled from point A to point B? Because you said you are dropping a perpendicular here onto the line AB. Okay. So once you say you have dropped a perpendicular onto that line AB, then at what distance that so-called perpendicular offset point you had it on your line AB from the first electrical point? Okay. From the first electrical pole, at what distance you had your offset, that is your perpendicular with respect to your line AB. So along the line AB, at what distance? Let's say this distance is something y1 I'm talking as. Okay. So at a distance of y1 along the line A to B, when I am trying to travel, I have identified the position of my first electrical pole at an offset distance of x1. Okay. So this distance y1 is what we call it as chainage. And for that chainage of y1 distance in the direction from A to B at an offset distance, this x1 distance is what we call it as offset distance. Okay. So at an offset distance of x1 in the chain direction, if I am trying to travel a distance of y1, the distance y1 which I am trying to travel in the direction of the chain is what we are calling it as chainage. Chainage is nothing but the distance what we are trying to have from point A towards your point B along the length of your chain, or along the direction of your chain. At a distance of y1, you have your offset point existing, and that offset distance corresponding to the first electrical pole is nothing but x1. So along your direction of line A to B, from point A, if I try to travel a distance of y1, from that y1 point, if I have a perpendicular line set to a distance of x1, then at that x1 distance, I have the position of my first electrical pole. Likewise, for a chain edge, I can continue to go on talking about the same thing. For a chain edge of y2, that means at offset of x2. For the chain edge of y2, it means at an offset of x2, I have the position of second pole. Likewise, at chain edge of, what does this chain edge of y3 means? From point A, at a distance of y3, if I am trying to travel, I had your perpendicular line existing, and along that perpendicular offset line, if I am trying to travel a distance, and that distance we are calling it as your offset distance, and that offset distance is how much? x3. So at a chain edge of y3 with an offset of x3, I have the position of my third pole. And likewise, for a chain edge of y4, for an offset of x4, I have the position of your fourth pole. Okay, so that's how I try to identify the position of various electrical poles that are existing in the field. Okay, now once we identify the position of all those various electrical poles by carrying out measurements by measuring the measurements in the field, then where do I note that particular data? Okay, so we have what is called as a field book in surveying, and whatever the measurements that we take from the field, we are going to be noting all those measurements in what is called as your field book. Okay, let's say this is my field book. This is the book in the form of similarly like your notepad. This is how we can open your field book pages also. Okay, so you will be having the book like this, and whatever the lines that I have drawn are the edges of your book, and in the center of that particular book, if you try to look at, you have two lines which are in a lighter way represented. Okay, so in this particular field book now, I am going to be representing my measurements, what I am trying to collect in the field. So how do we represent those particular measurements, whatever we have taken from the field? Because in the field book, I am not going to be representing everything to the required scale. It's not essential for me. But field book, when I am trying to mark my measurements, but I should represent those values in that field book. Then only I will be able to understand, okay, from point A to point B, I had this much distance. Then while transferring that exact value into your map, when you go to the office, you can exactly convert that into a proper scale, and you can start representing that data in your graphical representation form. So in this field book, till now what we have done, we have measured the distance between point A to point B. Now let me say this is the position of point A. I'm just representing the point A and point B in my field book, and I'm saying that this is the line A to B which we have marked in the field. Assume this to be your straight line. And what is that we have measured? We know what is the distance between point A to point B, and that distance, let's say it is 130 meters. Okay, so point A to point B distance is 130 meters. And next, what else we have done? We have tried to locate the position of your first electrical pole, second electrical pole, third electrical pole, and fourth electrical pole. So how did we understand the position of first pole, second pole, third pole, and fourth pole? We said by placing the chain from point A towards your point B, when I have traveled a distance of y1, that is for a chainage of y1 distance, okay. So for a chainage of y1 distance, for an offset of x1, if you want, you can go back to see how exactly is the position of your electrical pole. With respect to the position of point AB, line AB, where are your electrical poles? Electrical poles are on the right side of your line AB. Okay. So in the same way, in the field book also, when I am trying to locate the position of those electrical poles from the line AB onto the right side, I am trying to locate the positions of those pole 1, 2, 3, 4. Now in the similar way, once again, from point A at a chainage distance of y2, I'm having an offset distance which is x2 to locate the position. This is the position of your first pole. This is the position of your second pole. And likewise, once again, from point A at a chainage distance of y3, you have a corresponding offset distance which is x3, at which you have your another pole. And likewise, for next, from point A at a chainage distance of y4, for a corresponding offset distance of x4, you have your another pole. So once I understand the position of first pole, second pole, third pole, and fourth pole, then I can try to join these points. See, here I am trying to draw your offsets only to make you understand very clearly. Yes, in this direction I am trying to represent your offsets and so on. But you may not be drawing all that very much with thick lines, because you will be getting confused in the later stage. What is your exact object that you are trying to mark, and why is this offset lines are even represented? Whether you have what is called as a line existing there, what is that we are trying to represent, will have a slight confusion. Okay, so just only to make your understanding simpler, I am trying to indicate all these offset lines at distance x1, x2, x3, and x4 I have mentioned. But however, those lines are not very much in a thicker way we are going to represent. Just only with a light representation we'll be indicating them, so that we'll have an idea. Okay, at those offset distances from your line AB, you have got the positions of those various points. Okay, so this is your third pole, this is your fourth pole. So once your four poles positions are known, then you can say, okay, this is my electrical line which is going from my field out of this particular boundary. This is the direction in which your electrical wire is going over that particular poles. Right. So I have marked the position of my poles now. Next, what else I have got in my field? Let's say, yeah, on to the left of this survey line AB, you have the position of this house. Okay, so the position of the first house, what you immediately have. So here also, once again, what I'll try to do is, I'll just try to drop an offset from the position of the house onto this survey line AB, and I'll try to measure what is this offset distance. Okay, let's say this offset distance is something x5, and this x5 offset distance I have, let's say, for a chainage of y5 from point A at a distance of y5. If I am trying to travel, I have an offset of x5 distance to locate the position of your house. And likewise, the position of your tree, what I have immediately after your house, the position of another tree, what I have. So I'll just try to drop the offsets from these points. Okay, I'm just trying to set out perpendiculars onto your survey line AB from the position of your tree or position of your house or whatever they are. So by dropping those offsets onto the line AB, or by setting out those perpendiculars onto the line AB, I'll just try to measure the offset distances of all those points with respect to what chainage. Okay, and then I'll go on to figure out. Okay, so I have have one house and two trees on the left side, and one house and similarly two trees on the right side, and according to their exact chainage distances and corresponding offsets, I'll try to measure the position of those in the field again. Let's say I have my house. See what I am drawing, please do understand it's arbitrary sketch. Okay. So I measured what is this corresponding offset distance for that respective chainage of Wi-Fi, which we have said the respective offset distance is x5 to locate the position of the house. Likewise, one tree, another tree we had. Okay, so the respective positions of offset distances of all those points which we have measured in the field, I'm just trying to indicate here. Let's say this offset distance is x for a chainage of y6. Okay, this offset distance is something x7 for a chainage of y7, and likewise I am just trying to figure out the position of other things also, like yeah, in between third and fourth electrical pole I have one house. Yeah, somewhere here I have another house. The position of that house is what I am marking here with some offset data from your line AB at a chainage distance of something so and so from point A. And likewise, there is one tree here, there is another tree here. So I try to mark all the trees, houses, electrical poles which I have in my field. And what else I have got in my field? I have also got a road which is going through that particular field. Okay, through that particular area or through that particular region, I have got one road. So I just want to, let's say the road is continuous like this. I just want to understand the position of the road. How is that particular road? I just want to mark that road even on my map. So for that, first, before I start completely taking the offsets from the position of your road, so what I can just try to do is try to measure the width of the road at any cross section with the help of your tape or chain. Try to measure the width of your road. Let's say the width of the road, you have got it to be something 5 meters. Okay, so now what I'll just try to do is the subsequent road what I am going to be representing in your drawing sheet. Okay, in the field book first when I am going to be representing. So the width of that road what I am going to be indicating there should be 5 meters. That's okay. Next, where is the position or the alignment of the road? How do I mark the alignment position of your road? So for that, what I'll just start doing is, okay, let me go to some space here just to make you understand. Let's say this is how my road was there. I'm just trying to exaggerate it so that we can clearly understand. This is the position of point A. Somewhere here is the position of point B. This is that line AB what we were trying to look at. Exactly, road may not be like this in my previous picture, but just giving an idea of how to take the offsets from your road position again. Okay, so if I just want to take the offset from the road position, so maybe either this curve you take it as reference, or this curve or this position of the other end of the road width you take it as reference. Whatever you take it as reference, it's up to you, but be consistent in taking the reference of the same thing. So now if I am taking this line as my reference to drop my offsets, so from one point here I'll just drop an offset onto the line AB. From another point here I'll try to drop another offset onto the line AB. Another point from here I'll try to drop another offset onto my line AB. And maybe from another point here I'll just try to drop offset onto the line AB. Maybe from here I'll try to drop another offset onto the line AB. And likewise, another point from here, I'll try to drop another offset from the position of that road onto the line AB. So once you drop your offsets, you know offset distances with respect to all those points what from where you have dropped your perpendiculars onto the line AB. So at what chainage distance you have that particular offset. Next, at what chainage distance you have the next other offset for that point. Next, another chainage, you have another offset. At another chainage, you have another offset point. Let's say this is the offset point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So for locating the position of point 1 corresponding to your road, so I am trying to travel at to a distance of something chainage so and so along line AB, and the corresponding offset distance to figure out the position of point 1 is something so and so. Offset distance is so and so. Chainage for so and so along the line AB, I have an offset of something to locate the position of point 2. And likewise, if I am going to be doing the same thing, I am just trying to indicate with respect to those same chainages, whatever you have measured in the field. Let me roughly say this is my road. I am not drawing it to accuracy. Okay. Please do understand it's not proper sketching. I have measured my offsets from the position of point 1 of your road, second position of the point 2 on the road, third point of the road, and likewise we talked about various other points, let's say fourth point or something, whatever points that you have located. So drop all those offset points onto your line AB. See, I'm not confusing you. Hope I am making it very clear. So you are trying to locate the alignment of this line of your road. Alignment of this particular line of the road, you are trying to mark on your field book. And the other line, whatever you are required to be marking, obviously you can mark it at a distance indicating it as the width of the road was 5 meters. Okay, so wherever it is, if the width of the road is same, so you can simply say the width of the road is 5 meters, and that's how you have transferred all the data what you had in your field. You started representing that by measuring your measurements in the field. You started representing that particular data into what is called as your field book. So once your data, whatever you have marked in your field book, then that data you are carrying it to your office or your place where you are going to prepare your map. Okay. So in the preparation of the map, now what we start doing is, on your drawing sheet, first objective is to mark the position of your control points, point A and point B, and then represent the distance between this point A to point B on your map or on your sheet. Now, what should be the length of that distance that I have to measure between the point A to point B? So the length that I am required to be measuring is 130 meters. But when you are trying to represent the data from your field book onto your drawing sheet you may not have which is of 130 meters. So I have to choose an appropriate scale here to convert whatever the dimensions that I have from your field, if the data has to be properly transferred into your map representation. So consider maybe, let's say, for example, 1 centimeter in your drawing sheet is indicating me what is called as 10 meters. Just roughly I'm saying. Okay, I have chosen some scale like this. 1 centimeter on my drawing sheet is representing what is called as 10 meters distance what I had in the field. So then subsequently, the length from point A to point B, which I am required to be representing on my drawing sheet, should be equal to 13 centimeters. Okay, and that 13 centimeters is indicating me what is called as 130 meters length, which I had in my field. Okay, so I have marked the position of point A and point B, and I have represented my control line or my survey line AB by converting the field data into your map by proper scale, whatever we have chosen. And let me now go on to see what data I have got in my field book. So from point A, at a chainage of Y1, for an offset of X1, I have the position of your electrical pole 1. Okay, so according to that chainage of Y1, offset of X1, convert with the proper scale, and then go on to locate the position of your first electrical pole, second electrical pole, third electrical pole, fourth electrical pole. So once those electrical poles are marked, let me erase this unnecessary line which I have got here. Yeah. So what we can do is go on to join those points by means of a proper dotted line, because I cannot use the symbols whatever I feel like. you have to use the standard symbols what we have already talked about. Okay, if I need to represent a house, what is the standard symbol which is used for representing the house? If I am required to represent a tree, so what is the standard symbol used? If I am required to represent a line, what is the standard indication, standard symbol that is used for representing it? So accordingly, try to locate the position of your electrical poles. Pole 1, pole 2, pole 3, and pole 4. So 4 poles are marked in your field. Next, what else I have got after 4 poles? Then I have on to the left of your survey line AB, you have what is called as a house at a chainage distance of y1 for a corresponding offset distance of x5. You have one house. Likewise, I have another tree. I have another tree, and so on. The informations I have got, and let's say this is the position of the house. Somewhere here I have the position of your tree. Somewhere here I have the position of other tree. So with respect to the same chainage distance, at what offset distance you have the position of those tree or houses is what we are trying to mark. And somewhere in between here I have got another house. Maybe here I have got another tree, the position. Somewhere here I have got another tree. So the position of all those trees, houses, electrical poles, everything I have marked on my map by converting your data measured from the field with the appropriate scale what we have chosen. Next, what I have is the road alignment of your road. So with respect to the same chainage and the corresponding offsets, then I am going to be drawing your or I am going to be representing your road even in your map. So for the corresponding offset position of 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, which we have talked about. So all those points, I'm just trying to set those points, and I'm trying to understand the position of those points with respect to their chainages and offset values. And once these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points are located, then I am joining all those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points by means of a smooth curve, so that I get one end of your road, and with the width of 5 meters, what is to be marked? If I try to set a distance of 5 meters here, here, wherever it is, then accordingly, I can try to get the other end of the road, which I am supposed to be marking in the map. Okay, so this is how, whatever I have prepared here, this is how we call it as the mapping of the data what you have in your field into the form of what is called as a graphical representation, in the form of putting all that data into a sheet or putting all that data into your computer. Because now most of the people are not using what is called as your graph to represent all the data into your they are not drawing everything into what is called as a drawing sheet, which we are calling it as a map. Rather, every data what we have is what we are simply transferring it onto your system, so that whenever you require, you can use that data, you can print out, and you can make use of that data as per your necessity. Okay, so this is how we are going to be preparing the map for that particular region what we were trying to look at. Okay, so once the map preparation is complete, then next thing what I am supposed to be looking at is in checking the accuracy of the work what you have carried out. So accuracy of the work in the sense, whatever the work that you have carried out in the field, I repeat, the work which you have carried out in the field, whether that particular work, what is the work that I have carried out in the field? I try to figure out the position of various objects in the field. Then that information I have transferred it onto my map, and whatever the way that data has been transferred onto the map, whether that data transferred onto the map is correct or not, I have to check for the accuracy of it. So how do we check the accuracy of it? So by making use of what is called as check lines. Okay. So by making use of what is called as check lines, I have to check the accuracy of the work which I have carried out. The map which I have drawn, whether it is accurate or not, whether the work which I have carried out is accurate or not, is what I am supposed to be checking it for. So how do I check it for? So what we can try to do is, we can try to understand, to figure out some check lines in your map as well as in the field. So I'll try to measure the distance between those checkpoints in your map and as well as in the field, and I'll try to compare those measurements what you got from your map and what you have in your field, and we'll try to cross check, cross verify whether your data what you have calculated or whether your data what you have mapped onto your mapping of your data what you have done in your map, whether it is correct or wrong. So for that, what I'll just try to do is, let's say I am simply choosing some checkpoints in order to represent some checklines. Let's say here is one checkpoint I am considering. Here is another checkpoint I am trying to consider. So I am indicating a line between these two checkpoints. In the map, let me measure the distance between the checkpoint 1 and checkpoint 2. Let me give some naming rather. This is point C, this is point D. So in between point C to point D, in my map, I'll try to measure what is the distance. Okay, so C to D distance is what I'll try to measure in your map. It's a measurement in the map. And in the exact field, I know where is the position of this tree corresponding to point C position, tree corresponding to the position of point D in my field. Okay, so in the field, exactly between those 2 points, between the position of tree existing at point C, tree existing at point D, I'll try to measure the distance again, and I'll try to say this capital CD is the distance what I have in your field, and small cd is the distance what I had from your map. Now what I'll just try to do is, the data what I had from my map has to be multiplied with the proper suitable scale which you have chosen for constructing that map, and then I can say, okay, my distance in the field CD should be equal to obviously the distance in the map CD into the scale what is chosen for constructing this map. So what was the scale that I have chosen? 1 centimeter on my drawing sheet is equal to 10 meters. So accordingly, scale what I have here is 10 meters, because the measurement on my map is small cd, that I have to multiply it with 10 meters, so that now you get what is the exact measurement that you are getting from your map data and what exactly you had from your field data. That's how you can cross check whether those values are coming out to be equal or not. In case if they are not equal, the measured data from the field and the data what you are getting by converting from the measurements from your map, so if they are not equal, it means that there is an error. Error in what? Error in either carrying out the measurements while taking the location of various objects in the field, or while converting that data in the form of proper representation in your map. Somewhere there is an error. So we can try to understand how much is that relative error that we are coming across with regard to our mapping work that we have done. So how much is that relative error if I want to understand? So the relative error here is nothing but what is the original dimension in the field minus the dimension what you are getting from your map divided by the original dimension what you are supposed to be having in the field. Okay, CD, capital CD indicating you the original dimension in the field, minus small d, small cd is the length what you are getting between your point in the map. Okay, so that according to the chosen scale I am converting it, and then I am dividing it with the original dimension. Then according to that I am getting what is called as a relative error. Now, depending on that relative error, whether that relative error what you have got is small or big, accordingly you can take a decision in understanding whether your mapping work what you have done is correct or wrong. Sir, do I need to go only for one check line? Need not be. You can go on to have n number of check lines in your field, but you have to understand one thing. The so-called check line what you are going to be referring should not be the same line which you have already located in your map, or which you have already located in your field. Let's say, for example, I cannot say the line going from point 1 to point 2, from first electrical pole to second electrical pole. That line I should not be calling it as my check line, because that line already I have marked and I have located the position of those exact point 1 and point 2 in your map as well as in your drawing sheet. in your map as well as in the field. So that particular data, I should not be calling it as your check line. So you have to clearly understand which is to be called as a check line. Lines which you have not actually measured in the field for mapping the data. So those lines you just try to identify that particular position of the points you try to identify and measure the distances of those distance between those points in the field as well as in the map, and then try to cross check. Let's say I can say distance between this house and this tree, distance between this house and this tree, neither I have measured in the field, neither I have measured in my map. Now this distance I can call it as my check line. Okay, so point E to point F, that EF line I can call it as one check line. Or otherwise, let's say from point F to your third electrical pole, because I didn't measure any distance from third electrical pole to your tree at point F anytime before. Okay, so all these lines which I have not come across while taking my linear measurements, so all those lines you can consider them as your check lines. And how many number of check lines I have to check for means it depends on the area in which you are trying to carry out your survey. You can go on to choose at least some minimum number of check lines, so that you can check for the accuracy of the work what you have carried out in that particular field. Okay, so next, to understand how do we take this offset measurements. So we said from your tree or from your house, we said to measure at what offset distance that particular house or tree is there from your main survey line. Okay, so let's say for example this was your main survey line between the point A to B, and somewhere at a chainage of so and so y1 you have the position of your electrical pole 1, that is at an offset distance of x1. Now my objective is to understand how do I take that offset measurement. Offset measurement means this x1 distance, how do I measure? So when I am trying to measure the x1 distance with the help of a chain or maybe with the help of a tape, most of the times the offset distances are measured with the help of your tape, whereas your main line, that is your survey line, is going to be in the form of spreading your chain. Now while placing your, let's say this point is some point some I point on my survey line. So from this I point, I am just trying to stretch my tape to reach your first electrical pole, and the amount of distance that I am trying to stretch my tape is x1. The distance, how much I am trying to measure is x1. Now it is possible for me to place your tape properly from point I to the point 1 of your electrical pole, and I can try to take the measurement. In case if there is no obstruction between that point I to point 1, in between that path, if there is no obstruction, then it is possible for me to stretch your tape or chain, and accordingly you can try to take your measurement. Okay, so this offset, whatever we are representing here, is nothing but we are calling it as your perpendicular offset, because that distance, so-called offset distance, what you are trying to measure is for that line which is set perpendicular to your main line. Okay, so that such kind of offset is what we call it as your perpendicular offset. Sometimes if you have got an obstruction in between, here you have it, maybe a pond or some other kind of obstruction, because of which you are not able to place your tape or chain in between the point I and point 1 of the electrical pole, then what you can do is you can try to set, or you can try to measure the offsets not exactly to the position of point I, rather I can try to place the offset something like this. So such kind of offsets, what you are going to be referring to is what we call it as your oblique offsets. Okay, these offsets what we are representing here are nothing but we call it as oblique offsets. So we go for this particular offsets in the case if you are not able to exactly set out your perpendicular offset for measuring the distance between point I to point 1. Okay, so this is how we try to take your offset measurements. Always may not be possible to set out your perpendicular, set out to measure the perpendicular offset distances. So in such case, you can even think of to go for what is called as your oblique offsets. Now, let's say sometimes, okay, what is that we have talked about till now is we have understood how do we identify those particular objects which are to be mapped onto your map. See, ultimately, what was that we were trying to do? We were trying to prepare a map for a particular survey field by simple devices called simple instruments called your chain or tape. So with the help of that simple chain or tape, we are trying to locate the position of various objects, whatever I have got in my survey field, and I'm just trying to transfer that information, whatever I have measured in the field, into the form of a map. So in the process of preparing the map, we are coming across with, say, different measurements which we are supposed to be measuring. Like we said, each of the position of the tree, or each of the position of the house, or each of the position of your road are to be dropped down to your main line. You are required to drop perpendicular from position of each house, each tree, each electrical pole onto your main line. That's your survey line. So once you drop the perpendicular onto those survey lines, so you get some distance between that point from where you are dropping that perpendicular to that of the line AB. So that distance we are calling it as offset distance, and that offset distance we are going to have at some chainage distance. Okay, so from a control station, let's say A, you at a chainage of so and so, you for an offset of so and so, you have the position of your house, or you have the position of your tree, you have the position of your electrical pole, you have the position of your road, and so on. That's how we are trying to map all that particular information. Now, my objective is to understand. There are two things here for us to understand. One is how to drop the perpendicular. Earlier I said, you just first now understand how to, we simply said, okay, let us assume that I am able to drop a perpendicular from the house position, or from the tree position, or from your road position onto your main survey line. But now my objective is to understand how to drop that perpendicular. And second is how to set a perpendicular, which I will call it as setting a perpendicular. Okay, there are two things here. Let's say this is my survey line AB. Here I have one house. Now from the position of the house, if I say drop a perpendicular, that is first thing. That is the first statement which I made. That is nothing but how to drop the perpendicular. So I should understand how is that so-called perpendicular is to be dropped onto the line AB. Second thing is, let's say for example, if somebody says at a chainage of something 70 meters for an offset on the left side of your AB line. So to the left side of my AB line at an offset of, let's say, 10 meters for a chainage of 70 meters at an offset of 10 meters, I am required to locate a point. Let's say I am required to locate the position of point C. Now, if I am required to set out the position of point C in the field or anywhere in the map, if I am required to locate the position of point C, okay. So what I should first understand is at a chainage of 70, I am required to draw a perpendicular line with an offset distance of 10 meters. So along this along the chain A to B, if I am marking a distance of 70 meters, at that 70 meter point from A along the line AB, I am just trying to draw a perpendicular line, or I am trying to set a perpendicular. how do I set that perpendicular? That is also important. Here, dropping a perpendicular from some particular point onto your main line. And the second thing is, from the main line at a particular point, you are trying to represent a perpendicular, or you are trying to set out a perpendicular. Okay. So both the things, how do we do that? We'll just try to understand in our next class.